Hey girl, Marissa here. You are listening to the Codependummy podcast. As a young woman, you have been raised, reinforced, and rewarded for putting the needs of others above your own. That is for being codependent. Now in your 20s, you're exhausted, exasperated, and enveloped in crap relationships, especially the one you have with yourself. This podcast is to help you undo all that so you can stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. Let's get to it. Hey girl, Marissa here. Today, I am talking about how you and me and everyone we know is codependent, or at least has codependent traits, okay? So we're going to be delving into the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the DSM-5. It's by the American Psychiatric Association, and I got this the first time in 2013 when I started grad school. We refer to it as the Bible. It's where all the diagnoses come from. So depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I remember back in 2013 when I learned about dependent personality disorder. And I remember thinking, that sounds a lot like me. Like, oh my God. And it sounds a lot like me, and it will likely sound a lot like you, and it will likely sound like a lot like everybody, because really, I do believe that as young women, we have been raised, reinforced, and rewarded for putting the needs of others above our own, right? For being overly dependent on others, for being overly reliant, for not relying on ourselves. So I'm going to walk you through this diagnosis, and it is not to diagnose you. I am not your therapist. You are not my patient. I know nothing about you. Okay, girl? Like I'm not your therapist. And at the same time, I am a therapist, and I'm going to try to translate the dense and academic literature about dependent personality disorder to make it more digestible and for you to really think, just reflect. Okay, I just want you to reflect. This is food for thought. Am I codependent? Am I a codependummy? And how come? How come I'm a codependummy? How come I act like this? How come I interact with others and myself like this? How come I'm so overly reliant and wanting the affection, attention, and approval of everyone? How come? All right, so that's what we're doing today. So, dependent personality disorder starts off a pervasive and excessive need to be taken care of. Ooh, right? Pervasive just means everywhere in all or most areas of your life. Not only are you looking to be taken care of by your parents, by your partner, but the waiter and your trainer and fellow drivers on the road. Excessive, like extra. Like, don't be so extra, girl. Like, you extra, that's too much. That's excessive. Right? That leads to a pervasive and excessive need to be taken care of. That leads to submissive and clinging behavior. Right? Submissive, we could think of that as passive, as agreeable, compromising, sacrificing. Right? I will submit, I will submerge, I will sub myself to someone else. Clinging, we all know what that means. Clinging behavior and fears of separation. Rejection, abandonment, being all alone, not being able to take care of yourself, right? Fear of separation, which isn't that everyone? I do. I remember learning about this and I was like, oh, right? do I have dependent personality disorder? Or am I 25 in modern day America in a Latinx family with sisters and pressure to find a partner and get a job and have babies and buy a home and do all the things ASAP? I don't know. I don't know. And this disorder in particular, it begins in early adulthood and it's present in a variety of contexts, okay, indicated by 5 or more of the following. Okay, so let's just see, do you check off 5 or more of the following of these things? And again, this is not diagnosing, it's just food for thought. Like, do I check off these boxes? Where do I check off these boxes? How come I check off these boxes? All right, number 1, right, indicated by 5 or more of the following. 1, has difficulty making everyday decisions without an excessive amount of advice and reassurance from others. Again, isn't that everyone? Excuse me. Number 2, needs others to assume responsibility for most major areas of his or her or their life. I added there, the DSM has not caught up with 2020, right? I love when people assume responsibility for me. Who wants to make a big decision, right? Then it's all on me. And big decisions at 22, 25, 29, 32, that shit's scary. Number 3, has difficulty expressing disagreement with others because of fear of loss of support or approval. Again, isn't that everyone? Isn't that every young woman that you know? Number 4, has difficulty initiating projects or doing things on his or her or their own because of a lack of self-confidence in judgment or abilities, rather than lack of motivation or energy, right? I know for a fact that 10 years ago, when I was 22, I would not be making this podcast. 5 years ago, when I was 28, I don't know if I would have been making this podcast, right? I did not have the self-confidence in my judgment or my abilities. It's not that I lacked motivation and energy. I just didn't believe in myself. And that was all thanks to defining myself through how others saw me and paying more attention to the negative perspective, right? Some people loved and adored me, but I disqualified their judgment. Only paid attention to the negative ones. Number 5, they goes to excessive length to obtain nurturance and support from others, to the point of volunteering to do things that are unpleasant. Oh, right? What comes up for you as I read that, right? How have you tried to obtain nurturance and support? Volunteering to do things that are unpleasant, right? Do you volunteer to help out when you don't want to? Take someone to the airport when you really can't? Go do someone's task that isn't yours because you want that nurturance and support from them. 6, feels uncomfortable or helpless when alone because of exaggerated fears of being unable to care for himself or herself or their self. Right? How do you feel about when you're alone? How do you feel when you're single? When you're without your parents' support? Do you sense that you can care for yourself? 7, they urgently seek another relationship as a source of care and support when a close relationship ends. And this does not have to be romantic. Okay. It's any relationship. So when you lose a friend, do you cling on to another one? When you do lose a partner, do you spend a lot of time with one friend? When you, lose touch with a coworker, how are you filling that void? And are you trying to fill it out of fear? And 8 is unrealistically preoccupied with fears of being left to take care of him, her, or their self. Right? Do you notice, oh my God, why am I so anxious about being single? Why am I so anxious about my parents disapproving of me? Why am I so anxious about my boss being disappointed? Right? Do I worry that I will be left to take care of myself and not able to do it? And again, isn't that everyone? I don't know why this is for a certain type of dependent personality. All right, so a couple more features. I'm going to read through these, share some stories, and I want you to think about how you relate. And my earring is hitting this. All right. Let me see. Just getting some technical difficulties because of my beautiful earring underneath these beats. All right, so features. These individuals tend to be passive and to allow other people to take the initiative and assume responsibility for most major areas of their lives. What the fuck does that mean, right? So an individual, right, they let other people decide what they should do, who they should be, what they should have in all major areas, right? So personal, professional, academic, residential, you name it. And it talks about here, right? Young adults may be dependent on a parent or partner, where they should live, what kind of job they should have, who they should befriend, what school or college they should attend. And I will share when I was 18, I got into a good school. I did. And I was a twin. I have an older sister, and my twin and older sister, they were going to the same college that, according to different rankings, wasn't as good as mine. And I didn't really decide that I wanted to go there. That was what was expected of me. And I didn't question it. And despite not questioning it, I should have questioned it, right? It did not turn out well. I was 18, super close with my twin sister, very dependent on my parents, and flung out in this brave new world. And I had a really hard time. I was really depressed. I was really anxious. I did not do well academically when I did really well in high school. And, I didn't question what I should be doing and where I should be. This was not if I would go to college, but where. And not if I would go to college, not when. Just where. Where are you going? Where are you starting at 18? And my parents had done that. They had blazed that trail for my sisters and I. And while I'm very grateful for that, right? I looked to my left, I looked to my right with all my peers going to school too. I looked up ahead of me, saw my parents, that's what they did. Looked a little further ahead of me, saw my older sister, that's what she did. And I depended on them really to decide what school or college I should attend, which was the better one further away, and that I should stay, right? I was not doing well, and there was no, do you want to come back home? Is this the right time? And I didn't even know that I could ask those questions. I didn't even know that I could break out of what the expectation was, right? It had been decided. I didn't know that I could take that decision back or make one on my own, right? So something for you to think about. Are you in a particular job that your parents think is best? Just gonna get a little tea, you guys. Right? Have you chosen a major that your parents approve of? A partner? Where are you letting other people take the initiative and assume responsibility for an area, a major area of your life? Continuing on, right? Those who are codependent, dependent, they fear losing support or approval. And because of that, they often have difficulty expressing disagreement with others, especially those on whom they are dependent. These individuals feel so unable to function alone that they will agree with things that they feel are wrong rather than risk losing the help of those to whom they look for guidance. They do not get appropriately angry at others whose support and nurturance they need for fear of alienating them. So back when I was 22, 23, I had graduated, and I stayed in my college town, worked full-time, took night courses to get into, I discovered at the time I did want to be a therapist. And right, a lot of my friends had left. I was alone, I was single. I was going to therapy, and I started to attend meditation circles, right? After work, free community-wide meditation-focused meetings. And there was a gentleman there that one of the codependent creeds, and I'll relate this to him, but I had a unofficial rule. I will be uncomfortable, so you will be comfortable. And it turned up a lot with men. I will be uncomfortable, so he is comfortable, right? Can't make him uncomfortable. And he's in his 70s. I was 22, 23. So 50-year age gap. I thought that was like enough to avoid any creepy, predatory, inappropriate behavior. But I was lonely. I needed community. I wasn't lonely for a 70-something-year-old man, okay? But I did want community. I wanted to spend time with people. I wanted wisdom. I wanted guidance, which he offered. But I had trouble expressing disagreement, right? I didn't want to express anger because I didn't want to alienate him, right? I agreed to things that I felt were wrong rather than risk losing his guidance and support. And what that meant was before, after some of the meetings, he would take me out to dinner and give me all this life advice. Or something would be happening at work and I would share that with him and he would give me some wise wisdom on what to do. And it was really nice. It was really nice. And there were other people who went to those meetings. And again, like I needed community and I didn't want to alienate myself and I didn't want to alienate him. But I didn't say anything when, I just got some late night texts with a winky smile. Like, it's like, okay, thank you for winking. Or he would hug me too long. Right? Just, ladies, it's like, oh, oh my God. And, I might look nice and he would just look me up and down. I was like, why are you looking at me like that? You pervert. But I didn't express appropriate anger, right? I didn't say, don't text me this late. I didn't push him away when he was hugging me too long. And I didn't say, like, can you not look at me like that? Gross. So, a little more tea. I will admit, I actually record this episode. I didn't record. So I think that's why I'm losing my voice. So, going again, codependent diamond, just... So what happened, right? Because I didn't want to express disagreement and I was willing to do things that felt wrong, right? Rather than risk losing him and his friendship. And also I didn't get appropriately guilty because I didn't want to alienate him. On Valentine's Day, there was a communal love meditation hour. And I think we carpooled. I think we did. Mind you, he's married, which it doesn't matter. 50 years, it doesn't matter. But we carpooled and he dropped me off at my car at the end of the evening, went in for the hugged, and then he tried to kiss me. And I was like, oh! Right? And yelled his name, what's his name going to be? We'll call him Guillermo. I was like, Guillermo. And I was like, ah! And I just ran to my car, got in, zoomed off. And, right, we can blame him. We can think, right, what a creep, what a perv, what a boundary violator. And also, right, thanks to my codependency, the late night texts, the, too long, too snug of a hug, and the checking me out up and down, not being able to express my anger, express my discomfort around those things led to that situation. Right? There's the codependummy part. You dummy. I have so much compassion for her and also at the same time, right? We do not need to be this obliging, this I will be uncomfortable so you will be comfortable creed. We do not have to follow it as much. Okay. Other features. Excuse me. Right? Difficulty initiating projects or doing things independently. They lack self-confidence and believe they need help to begin and carry through tasks. Right? What comes up as I read that? They may make extraordinary self-sacrifices or tolerate verbal, physical, or sexual abuse. Let me read that again. They may make extraordinary self-sacrifices or tolerate verbal, physical, or sexual abuse. Girl, what comes to mind? Right? How have you been overly dependent on others' approval, affection, and attention that you have sacrificed yourself and you have tolerated abuse. It's out there. It's common. And it is encouraged. I remember a lot of my relationships in my 20s were extremely codependent. And the songs I listened to about heartache and love and relationships encouraged that unhealthy tolerance of verbal, physical, or sexual abuse, right? Of self-sacrificing. That song, Love the Way You Lie, by Rihanna, probably like 10 years old now. And she says, right, you're just going to stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's all right, because I like the way it hurts. Just going to stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's all right, because I love the way you lie. I was like, yes, Rihanna. Yes, that is all my relationships. They just watch me burn and I love it. Right? They lie to me. And I love how they lie. I love being dependent and tolerating and self-sacrificing. Right? I am embodying what this song's all about. Isn't that a good thing? No. So what comes up for you? Codependents, they will tag along with important others just to avoid being alone, even if they are not interested or involved in what is happening, right? Like, I'll go, I'll come. I'm the reliant friend who's always available. Like, yeah, you want to go there? Like, I have no interest in doing that, but I will go for your approval to spend time with you. So maybe you feel indebted, like you owe me, like I'm such a good friend that you'll keep me around a little longer, etc. They see themselves as totally dependent on the advice and help of an important other person, that they worry about being abandoned by that person when there are no grounds to justify such fears. Again, me, 22, 21, 29, I remember one time when I was trying to break up with someone. I was trying to break up with him, trying to end the relationship. And we were sitting in his car. I think I'd written him a letter because I needed to be prepared. I think my therapist told me to write the letter. So I was like, okay, mister, like, it's over. And I wrote it out and I'm repeating it because I don't know if I can do this without this letter, right? No one said that, but unconsciously, I think I sensed that I needed verbiage to read and deliver. I think I tried to break up with him a couple times. And he was doing his sweet talk. I don't even know if it was that sweet. I don't even know. But he said enough things. And I think I said it out loud. If I didn't, I thought it, right? This very clear memory where I said or thought, like, I wish my dad and my therapist were here. Right? What am I saying underneath that? I am so dependent and reliant on the advice of my father and my therapist that I wish they were here to do things for me because I am so incapable of doing them on my own. I don't have the ability, competence to deliver this message, right? Oh, I wish my dad or my therapist were here. It's like, Marissa, you have the letter. Read it. End it. But I couldn't do it. And right, this latter part, like fear of being abandoned by that person you get advice from, no grounds to justify such fears. I don't sense I was that eager to call my dad the next day and say, we're back together. Right? I don't picture myself looking forward to that next therapy session. Like, oh yeah, we're back together. Right? I didn't want to disappoint them. And a part of me feared that if I did, like, oh, Marissa, right? And maybe not physically abandon me, and at the same time, emotionally be disappointed and maybe not pick up the next time I call, right? Who am I supposed to call if I'm not listening to my dad's advice, even though he keeps giving it to me? I keep ignoring it. Like, is that going to lead to him not wanting to put up with me anymore? Right? Is my therapist going to judge me, be disappointed? So just, right, constant fear as a codependummy, constant fear of disappointing people, losing people, right? What resonates with you? A couple more symptoms. Individuals with dependent personalities are often characterized by pessimism and self-doubt. They tend to belittle their abilities and assets and may constantly refer to themselves as stupid. That is literally what it says right here, right? Codependummy. This is what we do, right? And I do curse on this podcast. I will not say every single curse word on this podcast. And I know a lot of the young women and men, right? Mostly women who I work with who are codependent, the things they say to themselves, right? The things we say to ourselves in privacy, in our quiet moments. You fucking idiot. You're such a bitch, right? You weakling. You pathetic piece of shit. And there's a P word. There's a C word. I'm sure there's other words I don't even know about. Really, really hurtful. Really belittling. Self-deprecating. Self-criticizing. Self-hating. Doesn't say it here, but lots of self-hate in a codependummy. And they take criticism and disapproval as proof of their worthlessness and lose faith in themselves, right? Again, who takes criticism and disapproval as proof of their worthiness and gains faith in themselves? I don't know. DSM. I don't know. Isn't this everyone? And lastly, there may be an increased risk of depression, anxiety, or adjustment disorders. Right? So depression, sad, low mood, lack of motivation, anxiety, nervous, anxious, catastrophizing, and adjustment disorder. What the fuck is that, Marissa? It's when you experience a stressor and you don't do too well. You have a hard time adjusting. Right? When I first went to school, hundreds of miles away from my family, being codependent, being so reliant on my twin, my older sister, my mom, my dad, I did not adjust well to that stressor. I was not ready. And my codependency was masked, now that I think about it, as depression, as anxiety, as adjustment. But really, really underneath it all was an unhealthy, unrealistic, unsustainable reliance, dependence on others liking, loving, and approving of me. Right? I was sad because I couldn't please everybody. I was anxious that I was going to let people down. And I really struggled that first year of college, because I did not know how to function in the world without my twin sister by my side and my parents giving me all the advice that I needed all the time. Right? That was my depression, anxiety, adjustment issues. So, what are you thinking, girl? Right? Hearing those 8 symptoms and all the features, what stands out to you? Right? Are you like, oh my God, I have dependent personality disorder? I hope you're not. Right? That's what I did when I first read this. I hope you're thinking, oh my God, I have been raised, reinforced, and rewarded to engage in the world like this. Right? This has been modeled to me by women, by my mom, by my aunties, by my female teachers, coworkers, baristas. Right? I was bred to engage with the world like this. So is it that you have a dependent personality disorder, or is it that society has really set us up to put the needs of others above our own to our detriment? Excuse me. So sorry. So, right, is it a personality disorder, or is it a way of being that we have been taught that we're questioning and that we want to let go of? Right? We don't want to function like this. I don't want to have 73-year-olds hitting on me, or really wishing that my dad and therapist were with me all the time, or so self-deprecating and calling myself every name in the book when I make a mistake. Right? Not expressing my anger, always fearing disapproval and disappointing others. So, which symptom, feature stands out to you? How have you been raised, reinforced, and rewarded to keep that behavior? I really want you to think about that this week. I really want you to reflect. Get your journals out, share this with someone, talk about what stands out to you, right? Listening is great. I thank you so much for listening. I also would appreciate and encourage you to write about it, talk about it, bring it to your therapist. Right, we're going to start to get to work. So thank you for listening. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, right? I know it's only 1 episode, but what do you think so far? You can sign up for my free course, Codependummy 101, by visiting codependummy.com and signing up. Also, you can join the Facebook group, the Codependummy Podcast, where I'll be announcing upcoming episodes. You can interact with the Codependummy community and also get to interact more with me. And I will see you next time. Hey sis, it's Marissa again. I'm not like a regular podcaster, I'm a cool podcaster, right? Thank you for listening and staying till the end, and know this: if you are feeling unseen, I see you. If you are feeling unheard, I hear you. And if you feel like you don't matter, know that you matter to me. Until next time, be sure to check out codependummy.com for more info about today's episode, my free course, and other resources. Take care. You're still here? Just kidding. Girl, this is not therapy, and I'm not your therapist, okay? This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the publisher, or the guests are rendering any legal, clinical, or other professional information. If you want or need a professional, you should find one.